Okay, so I want to show you a technique which is called the Chicago roll. So this particular technique probably came from the Chicago College of Osteopathy in the 1900s, and probably from an osteopath you may know, Harrison Fryette. So this particular technique is, well, it's going to be used for the sacroiliac joint, in particular the iliosacral. So we're actually contacting the ilium. Now, for those of you that practice sort of positional osteopathy, this has often been used to correct a anteriorly rotated innominate. But if you don't practice that way, then you can still use this technique just to break fixation or improve movement between the ilia and the sacrum. Okay, so the setup is going to be critical. So we're going to have our patient lying on their back, and the table's roughly just a bit higher than your knees. We're going to be working on the side that's furthest away from us. So what we'll do first of all is we're going to take that leg and we're going to bring it and cross it over the other one. Now, the idea being there, if this is anteriorly rotated, by bringing the leg across, we've used the tension in the hamstrings to begin to draw it back the other way. Okay, then from there, I'm just going to pop that there for a second. We're going to take the legs and we're going to push them away like this. Okay, and then we're going to go to the upper body, and there's a couple of different ways to do this. One is to get your patient to clasp their fingers behind their neck. Okay, and then we're going to slide the shoulders across. All right, so we've got a little bit of a rainbow effect, or a smile as we look at it, smiling away. Okay, what that also does, it just takes a bit of tension out of the quadratus lumborum there. Now this is where it can get a little bit awkward, because on this particular way we're going to bring our hand in through, and then if you can see, we're going to get the back of our hand resting just on the sternum there. Okay, because what we're going to do from there is we're actually going to use that to rotate the patient towards us like this. Okay, so what we're going to come to now is we're going to find the ASIS. Now, this can be a very tender area and also quite ticklish, and also if you don't perform the technique correctly, can be quite sore. So we're going to put the heel of our hand over the ASIS like that, and then we're going to rotate the patient until we feel ever so slightly that beginning to rise off the table. So we're going to push it back on the table, and then from there it's a little bit of work between both this hand at the top and this hand at the bottom. What we can do is actually just mobilize quite nicely. So we're pushing in a sort of oblique, sort of posterior direction. So it's not straight down, it's sort of across and down. So we can actually mobilize quite nicely. And actually, to be fair, that's probably a better way of doing it. If you get a sensible barrier building up, then the actual manipulation is just an impulse straight down. Okay, now it's not, which is what you'll see a lot of people do, it's not a thrust or a push or a punch, because that would be really tender. It's just taking up the slack, and then little pumping movements, a little bit of mobilization, and then a impulse down. Okay, and you'll probably get a cavitation at the iliosacral joint there. If the limbs here is too uncomfortable, if you unlock your fingers for me, yeah, then what we can do is we can just get them to sort of cross their hands over from there, and then we can do exactly the same, but we're going to come under, we're going to reach around sort of just past the scapula there. You can see me resting on there, and I'm just going to pivot and bring them into me. I've got control, they're not going to fall over, and again I can just mobilize that way, or if I need to, I'm going to manipulate down. If you look at this arm, it's not bent, so I'm not punching like this, it's straight, and it's just a push straight through like that, as opposed to like that. Okay, so, and then you can roll your patient back and then untangle them. So practice that, have a go. What I would say is, for me personally, I find it more beneficial as a mobilization type technique, and then you can add in those little sort of little thrusts or little impulses if you want to, okay, and see how you get on with that.